Morning, everybody. We're ready to start. Hope everybody had a nice summer. My name is Councillor James Pasternak. I'm the chair of North York Community Council. We have quorum. I'm now calling meeting 26 to order. Although we were meeting in different locations today, North York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. It's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and we acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and is being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. If you're registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of the speakers can be viewed online by visiting North York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerk has provided all the agenda materials at toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you that please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at nycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest on the municipal conflict of interest? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand and unmute your mic and indicate the item and the nature of the interest. I don't see hands flying up, so seeing none, we will proceed. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting of July the 3rd, 2025? Moved by Councillor Cheung, seconded by Councillor Chernos-Lynn. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we'll run through the agenda items. 26.1, 499 Briar Hill Avenue, request for fence exemption to the Toronto Municipal Code, Chapter 447. Now, I have a note here that there's a supplementary, Councillor Cole, there's a supplementary report here that recommends withdrawing this item for consideration as the property owners have advised that they are willing to comply with the order and forego the fence exemption. Okay, a motion to withdraw.
I move motion to withdraw the item.
Okay, it's on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 26.2, Maxome Avenue, traffic calming speed humps, reopened from 22.17. Councillor Cheung has a motion to defer this item to the November 28th meeting of North York Community Council. That's correct, Councillor Cheung? Okay,
that's
is
correct.
the motion for deferral is on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 3, Bayview Mews Lane, approximately 100 meters west of Hawksbury. So this was deferred from July. A staff supplementary report recommends withdrawing this item from consideration. Councillor Carroll, do you concur?
Yes, I'll move the supplementary recommendation.
Okay, supplementary recommendations
To withdraw,
moved.
yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Maniza Road, parking restrictions, referral of item 23.28 from Toronto City Council. So this is, I assume we need a motion to reopen? Okay, it's referred back from City Council, so we have a motion to amend these parking restrictions, if we could put them on the screen. There they are. This has been a long journey to get these restrictions in. All those in favor? Okay, you want to hold it down for?
Can I just give it a read?
Okay, sure, we'll hold that item down. 26.5, 6 Foxdale Court, zoning bylaw amendment applications, decision report approval. We're going to hold that for speakers.
Mr. Chair, we have it held for speakers, but I note that the only speakers on the speakers list are here from the applicant. If there are no community members registered, then I'll be moving the staff recommendations. I don't know if the applicant still needs to speak.
Yes, no, we do have a stampede from the Goldberg Group.
Yes.
Certainly.
But I did meet with the community members this week, and so it was my intention, based on that meeting, to move the staff recommendations.
All right.
We can do that this morning
That'd be
then.
fine. We can deal with the item right now. I'm sure the Goldberg Group has some wonderful things to say, but when you've got the support of Community Council, I wouldn't mess
Yeah,
with success.
they're much more understanding of what the holding provision means, and so they're supportive of the staff recommendation. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So item 26.55, Foxdale Court, zoning bylaw amendment applications. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 26.6, 4949 Bathurst Street, zoning bylaw amendment, decision report. We're going to hold that for speakers. That's Councillor Cheung. Item number 7, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48 Hendon Avenue, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment applications, decision report approval. We're going to hold that for speakers. 3138 Bayview Avenue, zoning amendment application, decision report. Councillor Cheung, and I do not have speakers on the item.
I'd like to move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on 26.8, 3138 Bayview Avenue. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 26.9, 35 Wilkett Road, application for offense exemption. We're going to hold that for speakers. 26.10, 258 Glen Grove Avenue, application to remove a private tree. We're going to hold that for speakers. Councillor Cole. 2611, 27 Wynn Road, application to remove a private tree. We're going to hold that for speakers. And 26.12, 237 Glenview Avenue, residential demolition application. We're going to hold that for speakers as well. (2613) 272, 276, 278 Finch Avenue East, 48 Winlock Park, and 4 Manacrest Drive residential demolition application. Councillor Cheung, I do not have speakers on this item, and there's 3 options before us.
I'd like to hold it down, please.
You're holding it down? Okay. 26.14, a series of addresses on Bayview Avenue residential demolition application. Councillor Cheung, I do not have speakers listed on this item, and there are 3 options before us.
Sorry, can we hold that down as well, please? Thank you.
2615, 35 Vanley Crescent, designation of fire routes and amendments to Chapter 880 fire routes. I will move the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2616, 5 Agate Road, designation of fire routes and amendments to Chapter 880 fire routes. I will move staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2617, 1090 Don Mills Road, designation of fire routes and amendments to Chapter 880 fire routes. Is Councillor Burnside online? So I'm gonna move it on his behalf. I'm sure this is fine, and we can reopen if he disagrees and joins the meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2618, 824 Shepherd Avenue West and 181 Coxfield, construction staging area. We will hold that for speakers. (2619) Fairlawn Avenue parking amendments. I do not have any speakers on the item. Councillor Cole.
Approve staff recommendations for NY 24.19.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2620, Allegrezza Court, traffic and parking. Allegrezza. Welcome, Councillor Burnside. Councillor Cole.
I'll move staff recommendation for NY 26.20.
Okay. Staff recommendations moved. I do not have any deputants on the item. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 21. Bayview Ridge parking amendments. We have speakers on the item. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, that is your ward. And 22, Dongal Drive, on-street accessible loading zone. Speakers on that item. And 2623, Sutherland Drive parking amendment. I don't have any speakers listed on the item. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I'd like to move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved on 23, Sutherland Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2624, Bayview Avenue between Moore Avenue and Pottery Road, North Intersection Safety Review. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I have some amendments I'd like to do on that, so maybe.
Okay, if they're ready to go, we can put them on the screen.
Just checking if they've been, I'm not sure if they've been submitted.
does-
yet.
it do-
Maybe we
doesn't-
can just hold that down.
It doesn't sound like they're ready.
Sure, we'll just hold it down for a minute.
Item 2625, 109 Erskine Avenue, construction staging area time extension. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I'd like to move staff recommendations.
Okay, staff recommendations moved. 109 Erskine Avenue, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There was no one in favor and no one opposed. Okay, 2626 241 Redpath Avenue, construction staging area. I don't have speakers listed. Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
I think it's been submitted, an amendment on that item.
Okay, there's an amendment to item 26, 241 Redpath Avenue. If we put it on the screen, there we go. Everyone take a quick look.
It's just to not give the construction company several years. It's to do it in smaller chunks. So we're giving right now until December 1st, 2026, which seems like a good starting point. But we didn't want to do, I think it was 3 years or 4 years requested.
Oh, very good. Look, I don't even buy green bananas, so this is much time. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2627 York Mills Road and Upjohn Road traffic control signals. Councillor Burnside.
Move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 2628 York Mills Road and Ness Drive, all-way stop control. Councillor Burnside.
Move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 29, Talara Drive, Caracas Road and Bessarion Road. Parking amendments. I don't have any deputants on the item. Councillor Carroll?
No, we had a good meeting about that. I can move the recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 30, Becky Cheung Court. Parking regulations. Councillor Cheung?
I'd like to defer this item to the next North York Community Council, please.
Okay.
Is that?
All
who is
right.
that?
All those in favor?
Councillor Chernos-Lynn or Councillor Cheung?
This is Councillor Cheung.
It's Ward 18.
Becky Cheung Court.
Her court? Okay. No comment?
Okay. So all those in favor of deferring to the next scheduled North York Community Council meeting? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. So the next one is a proposed crosswalk marking policy and all-way sign control justification policy. This is a presentation that Transportation are going to be making at some point in the meeting. Okay, we don't have to do it now. So it's a 10-minute presentation. I think it was a direction from council. It's a direction from council that we listen. That we listen for a change. Okay, item 2632, appointment of public members to North Toronto Memorial Arena Board. There is a confidential attachment with lots of names. Councillor Cole.
Yes, I hope it's not the Syllapse, but anyways, but there's another Syllapse. I move approval.
Syllapse is a very famous name.
Yeah, he died about 60 years ago.
Okay. All right. So Councillor Cole is moving the recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 33, Three Valleys Drive, amending speed limits from 50 kilometers per hour.
Staff recommendations.
Sorry?
Move staff recommendations.
Councillor Burnside's moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 34, Highland Crescent and Beechwood Avenue, all-way compulsory stop control. Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
Yes, I'd like to move amendments on this.
Amendments?
I think staff have it.
Okay.
No?
Are they on the screen?
Okay.
No? Okay, we have to hold the item down. Okay, item 35, reopening NY 23.29 Plews Road, Spalding Road, Catherine, parking restrictions. This was a long, arduous process to accommodate the needs of local community and a local school for a safer drop-off and pickup strategy. The amendments are on the screen. Okay, so it is a walk-on item, long overdue. So I need a motion to introduce.
Oh, I see. We're just introducing. Okay.
Yeah, we're just introducing, and then I can move the recommendations right away, unless you want to hold it. So the first vote is to introduce it. The second vote, unless someone wants to hold it, would be to move the recommendations. So,
No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
okay, so we have to, the first vote is to reopen.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor of reopening, and then I'll move the recommendations unless someone wants to hold it.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I'll move the recommendations before us.
All right.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we can go back to the top of the agenda. Okay. Councillor Carroll, you have held down actually our first item to discuss, Maniza Road. Have you had a chance to review those recommendations?
No, I apologize. I'm not on the clerk's meeting portal, so the amendment's been tabled, but I don't have a way of reading it unless I get it in paper.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay, we can continue to hold that item down.
Sorry, I forgot my terminal that logs into portal easily.
Okay. 26.5 Foxdale Court zoning bylaw amendment applications, decision report approval. Councillor Carroll, you,
Yeah, we moved that. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah,
We
we
moved that
we don't need
because
to hear from the
It's
applicant,
only the
yeah.
applicant who's speaking. That is done. Item number 6, 4949 Bathurst Street zoning bylaw amendment. Decision report. We have speakers on the item. Carolyn Baycroft. Ms. Baycroft? Please unmute.
Hello?
Hello, welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, I've lived in the neighborhood for 45 years, actually, get older than I think. And I'm aware that there's a housing crisis, and I know that the families need places to live, and I know with the price of land, the only result that's practical is going up. I also am aware that council has their hands tied behind their back with the new provincial regulations the Ford government has imposed. However, I just want to address this issue because I read the City of Toronto's Housing Action Plan states that's the policy of the City of Toronto that fair access to all range of housing is fundamental for strengthening Toronto's economy, its environmental efforts, and the health and the social well-being of its residents. And I know you probably know that. I'm not too sure this new complex is going to meet your mandate, because there's another part of that action plan that says all development is supposed to be supported by sufficient public transit. And I'm not aware of any in this amendment. There's a lot of talk about money for park plans, but I don't see any talk about money for improving efficient public transit. Because already there's been developments approved on Finch Avenue between Yonge and Bathurst, and no change has been made to the traffic infrastructure. The cities in this intersection at Bathurst and Finch have not been widened, and there's no bike lanes. It's always been a congested area, because I used to teach at Northview. Also, in 2009, excuse me, the Traffic Division of the Toronto Police said that the Bathurst Finch intersection was the most dangerous one in Toronto for both pedestrians and motorists. I'm appreciating that the City Council is aware of the impact that this subdivision will have on the congestion of the area. And I agree with them that we have to do something. I did reach out to Stan Cho, who is my provincial representative, many times. However, he chose not to respond. I have looked at his webpage. He claims that traffic congestion's not his problem, but he desires to make a comment on the traffic in North York, and he states that residents shouldn't have to spend so much time in traffic when they could be home with their families. I agree with that. I thought maybe this amendment that you're putting forth might be better financially to put some responsibility on the developer. Parklands are important, but if we can't get to them and we're being killed by trying to cross intersections when we're trying to get to them, it's not very practical use of the money. Maybe some of this money can be redirected for public or infrastructure in the area where the building is being built. Okay? That's my suggestion. Safety at the Bathurst and Finch, I think, should come first. There's going to be a daycare put in there. Also, speaking of what's going to go in there is no grocery store in the whole area anymore. I see there's going to be lots of different residential shops and things and retail shops. Maybe a grocery store could be mandated. I know that's not part of this, but I'm just going to suggest that out. It seems like we have a catch-22. And at this moment, I appreciate the municipal level that you are. You are responsible and you take your responsibility. You're very intelligent people and you are very aware of what the community needs. However, you don't seem to have the money or the power at this point. The next level of government, provincial, they seem to have the money and the power to override you, but they don't seem to be really concerned about local residents. I don't have an answer to this, but definitely is a case of a horse before the cart, in my opinion, and that can result, as once again I will say, injury, and heaven forbid, death of a child or a person at this intersection. This is how I see it, and therefore I felt I should share with you my truth and my opinion on this amendment, and I thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. I share that intersection with Councillor Cheung, and much of what you said is correct, so I thank you for sharing that with us. Questions for staff? Councillor Cheung?
Thank you. Through the chair, staff, can you explain how the developer has proposed 39 stories and this recommendation is for 26 stories? How did we land on 26?
Good morning, through the chair. Staff looked at a number of things, including the policy context, but also the built form context in the area, and through that analysis, found that the overall proposed height was too tall, but felt that the height that staff put forward in our report is more appropriate.
And what role did the 27-story OLT approval that is kitty corner to this project in Councillor Pasternak's ward, how did that influence this decision?
Through the chair, when we were looking at appropriate height and context within the area, we took in both the existing context, but also the planned context. And so that approved building would form part of the planned context.
So would you say that the OLT has set the height precedence for that neighborhood?
I hate using the word precedence, but it certainly impacts our decision when we're looking at the context of the neighborhood. That approval has changed the planned context to some extent.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to be in a very prominent place. It's at a very busy intersection at Bathurst and Finch. And in general, you know, we're trying to create very walkable, wide sidewalks, good public realm, especially in these prominent corners. What are some of the challenges to achieve that right now with regard to the width of the sidewalk and the other uses that need to be taken into account?
Through the chair, I mean, you're correct, Councillor. This is an intersection. It's also got TTC bus stops. So we expect a number of pedestrians both through the intersection, but also waiting for buses, either to get to work or something like that, or to get home. In addition to the public sidewalks, staff are also looking to try and provide trees. And there's a future cycle track proposed for Bathurst that will also need to be accommodated within that right of way.
So on Bathurst right now, is there a plan to have trees? Is that able to be accommodated at this point?
Through the site plan process, staff will evaluate it, but there are a number of competing interests within that right of way right now, and we're not sure that all can be accommodated.
And when residents raise traffic as a concern, as many do, and we're introducing significant amount of development, what are the ways that the city can mitigate traffic as more density is introduced at an intersection like Bathurst and Finch?
I can take a shot at it, but transportation review or services may be the better ones to answer that question, Councillor. But as part of a rezoning application, we do get traffic impact studies that are analyzed by transportation review and transportation services, and they identify potential impacts, but also TDM, which stands for Transportation Demand Management, things that can help to promote other forms of transit and that sort of thing. I don't know if Transportation Review want to add to that or not.
Through the chair, I have nothing further to add.
I'm sorry?
Through the chair, I have nothing further to add to what Guy said.
You're looking for I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Oh, you have nothing more to say? Okay.
He has nothing to say.
Okay. So, and I guess, and is there a private daycare included in this facility?
Through the chair, yes. There's a private daycare that's proposed as part of the...
And this building plays a very important role right now with a lot of health amenities, including life labs and some diagnostic services. What's happening in terms of non-residential space replacement?
Through you, the chair. So there are some office spaces available on the second floor. There's a variety of non-res options that the applicant is looking to have, including office, which would include medical.
Was it 100% replacement from before to current?
Yes, I actually believe there might be a little bit more. But it's mostly the same. And they're
That's your last question.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, that's all. Sorry.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. I have a couple questions as well. Thank you. Just for clarity's sake, in the report it says it's cash in lieu instead of parkland? There's not parkland dedication. It's cash
Through
in lieu?
the chair, that's correct.
But you also say that there's a development charge credit for above base park improvements. So could you just explain how a cash in lieu triggers above base park improvements? If there's no park on site?
Through you, the chair. I believe our intention was to have a potential to pursue an off-site dedication. And
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, thank you. Through you, the chair, I believe our intention was, in case there was an opportunity to pursue an offsite dedication, we would have the potential to use development charge credits to apply to said offsite dedication. And so we included that recommendation there just in case the opportunity presents itself.
So that, is that there in case this changes?
That is correct.
Okay. This isn't a transit node, as defined by the province of Ontario, is it? But the height is quite high. There's no high-level transit at this intersection.
Through the chair right now, no, it's just bus service.
And even with no high-level transit there and not being a transit node, we're still approving for, what was it, 26 stories?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes, Councillor, I mean, it is a mixed-use land designation, and we were looking at the context of the neighborhood and things like our tall building guidelines when evaluating the proposed built form.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that. Any other questions for staff? Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can clarify this, because your transit question, the deputant also mentioned, and there is a bit of confusion, because people think it's not a transit node unless there's a subway running through it. But the official plan does contemplate prioritizing some major bus networks as well. There's a surface transit priority provision in the official plan as well, is there not?
Through the chair, it talks about transit priority corridors, I believe.
Right, so if it's a surface transit priority, it means that at some point, while there might not be something proposed now, it does have potential to continue to increase its ridership, and thereby that's part of the reason that we prioritize major avenues for this types of mixed use and density, is it not?
Yes, Councillor, sorry, I was just double checking. Both Bathurst and Finch are identified on that map in the official plan.
Right, right. So, there is a future transit priority, and we do articulate in the official plan that we also prioritize major surface transit areas, and that's little known to residents. But so that's fair if it didn't come up in discussion. But it is fairly close to where the Finch West LRT will be. Also. The issue of what we have before us, we don't have before us an OPA. This type of use is already contemplated in the official plan. What we have before us is just a zoning bylaw amendment, which is specific to the application. Am I right?
That's correct.
Right. And so the options here are somewhat limited. I note that in the resubmission that the density was reduced somewhat, but they're not asking for a use that wasn't long contemplated. Am I right about that?
Yes, Councillor, it would comply with the official plan.
Yeah, I understand. That was like a triple negative question, but we got there in the end. Sorry. Thank you. Those are my questions. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. And you are correct. The Finch West LRT, for some reason, started at Keele Street, not at Yonge. For now. So you are correct. The long-term plan is to start it from Yonge and then connect with Keele, I assume. But that is a long way off. And any other questions for staff? No. Speakers?
Yes.
Councillor Cheung?
Thank you. I would like to move without recommendation. There are some details about this development that I'm still working on with staff, but in general, I am grateful that there is space here for a daycare as well as the replacement of retail space, because we know that non-residential space is really important for the vibrancy of the community, the walkability, as well as the important services that I've heard are planning to return to this important intersection. The visitor parking. Yes, and the visitor parking is something that they have offered a good amount of. So in general, I am supportive of this, to the extent that I also understand it's 26 stories because the OLT approved 27 stories on the diagonal corner. We are still working is really on where the building sits and the narrowness of the sidewalk right now. There are no trees able to be accommodated because there's a queue jumping lane and a bike lane that needs to be accommodated. So currently developers giving up, I believe, 11 meters, but even with such a huge setback, our own services are taking up a majority of it. So we're just trying to see if there's some wiggle room in how we can place the building in order to get the best use, best design, as well as the most beautiful corner that we can get for that neighborhood, because it will be precedent setting in establishing new density, and we hope that it can be a great project. So this is something I will work on with the developer as well as city staff before city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Councillor Carroll?
No.
No?
All covered, yeah.
Okay. Any other speakers on the item? Okay. So you're moving it to council without recommendation. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Councillor Carroll, you're holding two items which I understand you're prepared to release now. One is item 4.
Yes, yes.
Maniza parking restrictions.
Yes, thanks for the read. I'm heartily supporting.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And I also have a note here that item 34, with no motion, you are prepared to release. Oh, sorry, Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
Sorry, I missed.
Item 34, you're holding, and the rumor mill is that you're ready to release it now.
Yes, sorry, it's the recommendations that are in the report.
You're moving the recommendations, okay. On item 34,
Thank you.
all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 7, we're holding for speakers. Simran Bhatti from Boostfields, the applicant, I assume.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Morning.
Morning.
Thanks for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I do have some presentation materials that I sent to clerks, and I do have them here as well. If I could just, someone could help me get plugged in.
Is this right at the corner? Is it at the corner of Finch?
It's not right, but it's just very close to them, and the closest part.
Oh, so it's up in, okay, gotcha.
By the TTC parking.
Yeah. They hurt us. That's the problem. You make a fuss about something. Next thing you know, somebody in the industry's got a new inflation.
You can't ask or you can't force. You can always ask.
No, but they can't. But you know how we can sell.
That mic's on.
Are we ready to go here?
No, I think they're still working on it. I also have paper. Yeah, sure.
Okay, oh my gosh. Okay, you have 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair and members. I just have a short presentation to make on this item. I'm a community city planner with Bellsfields, Inc. We act on behalf of Matrix Developments, the owner of the site. Before running through that presentation, I just want to thank Guy Matthew and Kelly Snow for all of their hard work on this project. We've been working quite collaboratively with them, and their feedback has significantly informed the 11-story building that is being recommended for approval in front of you today. And we're pleased to have resolved all outstanding issues with staff. Sorry for the old-fashioned sort of paper copies. My laptop isn't working. So the site, which you can see sort of outlined in red there, is located on the north side of Hendon Avenue. It's next to the future Beecroft Road extension. It's located exceptionally close to the Finch subway station and broader sort of bus terminal. It's about 210 meters away, or a 4-minute walk. To the north and west of the site is Hendon Park. And the proposal before you today contemplates extending that park with an on-site parkland dedication. From sort of an urban structure perspective and a policy perspective, we feel this site is well suited to accommodating new housing supply for new families and also intensification more generally. In addition to the proximity to Finch Transit Station, the site's also located within the boundary of North York Centre, which you can see there in purple. And then it's also designated mixed-use areas, which is one of 4 land use designations that's anticipated to accommodate most of the growth envisioned by the official plan's growth strategy. And you can see how that land use designation and that location within the node informs the physical context. We're generally located in a very high-rise, mixed-use sort of context. And you can see some surrounding building heights in the area. We're kitty corner to a 29-story tower and a 31-story tower. And there's also some proposals which have heights in the high 30s and high 40s quite close by as well. And so we feel this is quite a modest building within that broader context of North York that responds to our proximity to the park and also our location within the center more generally. In terms of the proposal highlights, again, this is an 11-story building. It's residential in use, 148 dwelling units. It does have an on-site parkland dedication, as I mentioned, and its density is 4.4 FSI. It also includes indoor and outdoor amenity space, bicycle parking, loading, and I'll note we've increased the number of visitor parking spaces through the process to respond to feedback we've received from the community. And then I'll just finish off by thanking staff again. We agree with their recommendations. We think this proposal represents good urban planning, good urban design. It incorporates a modest mid-rise scale, which we think fits in well with the surrounding tall building context and responds to Hendon Park. It introduces new housing options to the area, including 63% 2- and 3-bedroom units. And it also meets and actually exceeds the recommendations of the city's new mid-rise design guidelines with respect to rear transition to parks. And because of that, we're actually having very adequately limited impacts in terms of overlook, shadows, wind on Hendon Park. And so it's been designed quite carefully with staff in that respect. So we agree with staff's recommendations, and I thank you for your time and listening to my presentation. Happy to answer any questions that members may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Cheung?
I would like to move this without recommendation. I am grateful for the applicant's offer to do the on-site parkland dedication, to fit above base with DCs, as well as to apply their community benefit to an improvement at Hendon Park. I think these are all very good things that will happen in the neighborhood, and we're just trying to confirm where and how much non-residential space will be provided. It will bring added vibrancy and walkability, especially we do see 3 applications right at that corner, and because of its proximity to a park where there are a lot of people who go to that park, including a baseball league, having nearby non-res will, I think, be an added amenity to all those who come to this neighborhood. So we'll have some further discussions, and I'm just moving with that recommendation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Any other speakers on the item? No? Okay, we'll put the motion on the screen. Councillor Cheung is moving the item to City Council without recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 9. We have speakers. 35 Wilcott Road, application for fence exemption. First speaker is Cindy Nagayan. Okay, Cindy?
Am I on? Hi.
Yes, you are. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Shane Bell. We are the new homeowners of 35 Wolcott, and I am asking for support. The front gate and trees provide our family with the security, safety, and peace of mind. It allows our 2 young daughters, who are 9 and 12, their friends, and we have a small dog, the freedom to play in the front yard safely and privacy without fear from wildlife, which we have a lot of coyotes. There is actually coyotes living next door in the vacant lot next to us, as well as from the Winfield Ravine. There has been an increase in crime in our neighborhood, such as vehicle thefts, break-ins. The fence provides us the additional layer of safety. Other neighbors in our area who don't have the enclosed front fences and gates have experienced having their cars stolen, their homes broken into, trespassers on their property. In addition, we also have vulnerable people who are unable to defend themselves in such crimes, such as my children. I also live with my senior mom, who's 70, and we feel more secure with the gate. Lastly, due to the nature of our house and the neighborhood, it has attracted a lot of unwanted attention. We've had many people stopping in front of our property, peering in and taking pictures and videos on foot and in cars. We feel that our fence has provided us security from people trespassing onto the property. The trees that are planted give us privacy and greenery to hide the black fence. Many of our neighbors have similar fences and gates and larger mature trees lining their front yards, so ours isn't uncharacteristic of the area. Our fence and column shall follow the neighbor's sight lines as seen on attachment 16 of the report. So it's not as big standout. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? This is the homeowner. No? Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Questions for staff? Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I think we have one more deputant on the item. Is there a Shane Bell? Oh, she spoke on behalf? Okay, so we're done with deputants. Question for staff? Speakers? Okay.
Thank you. There are other houses similar to this with similar types of exemptions or similar types of builds on this street. Is that correct? Similar types of fences and gates?
Is your mic on? I can't hear a thing.
Mine is, yeah.
Sorry,
I
can
don't
you hear
know.
me? Thank you, sorry. Through the chair.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, the adjacent property next door does have similar fencing. A review of the compliance with Chapter 447 has not been conducted as to the compliance of it, but it is a very similar construction in terms of height and location.
Okay, and have you visited this site?
Yeah, it's through the chair. Yes, personally, I've conducted the review for this report. I was on site earlier this year.
Okay, and I know traditionally part of the reason we have these bylaws is because we want to make sure that when people are backing out, for example, that they have clear sight lines so that they don't hit a pedestrian or things like that, or a cyclist or a dog, children. Is that a major concern given the way, like this is a very large property? Is that it kind of looks like it's a circular driveway, so chances are they're not actually backing out. Is that a major concern to you?
Through the chair? Yeah, I would agree with that statement. It is a circular driveway, 2 entry points, 2 exit points. The fence is constructed right on the property line, right adjacent to the sidewalk. I would agree it is of grave concern for sightline obstruction to the pedestrians on the sidewalk.
So it is. You see this as a grave concern.
Through the chair, just the photos depicted in the report are of newly very young cedar trees. They are not of maturity, and through their maturity, they're going to thicken up, grow higher, and they are within 2.4 meters of a driveway, regulating the height down to 1.2 meters, and the open fence construction, so they're the ability to see through them to vehicle traffic will be there.
Okay, so if it was something more porous, it would be better, is I guess what you're suggesting?
Through the chair, yes, I think that's the intent of the bylaw, that section.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. But I guess my reiteration would be this is not unusual in this street to have this kind of setup.
Through the chair, yes, I would agree with that, yes.
Okay, and do we only have these reports come forward if somebody has complained?
Not necessarily. The report could be done preemptively by the applicant. I think this is a new build, maybe.
Oh, I see. So like if someone has built it and then they find out they're in contravention, they would apply for an exemption.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Any other questions for the deputy? Oh, sorry, for staff. Yeah, Councillor Cheung?
So can you summarize your greatest concerns with what is presented here? With what has been constructed and planted? What are the main issues?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. Of great concern is the sight line. There is a height requirement. The gates themselves are the highest point, but the open fence construction allows for the visibility of pedestrians and vehicle traffic. It's just the age of the trees. They are in the photos still causing a sightline obstruction, but in maturity they are going to thicken up. I think that's the largest issue.
Sorry, so the trees are more of concern than the porous fence. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Through the chair, yes. Thank you.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions. If the trees are the main concern, why isn't your order for trimming?
Through the chair, It's denial of it. So these cedar trees are acting as a fence. So they're regulated under the fence bylaw, and they must be maintained with the standard of open construction or chain link equivalent fashion.
So are these cedars blocking sight lines? They
Yes.
are.
Yes.
So
through the chair.
normally when cedars or other hedges block sight lines, we order the property owner to trim. I'm not sure what I'm missing. Isn't that what we do?
I'm not sure for the health of the tree. Sorry, through the chair. I'm not for the health of the tree. The close proximity to each planted tree. That it's. I would agree. Yes, as per the bylaw, it is to thinning them out and trimming. The order wouldn't be to action it by thinning it out. That would maybe the remedy, but that's not our description of the required action. It would just be to eliminate the sightline obstruction. And then if it's thinned out, we would determine whether it's within compliance and follows that open fence.
All right. I'm not sure what all that means, but okay. Are we done with questions for staff? Is there anyone else who wants to? Or we'll go right to speakers. Okay, we're done with questions for staff. Let's go to speakers. Okay, who would like to speak? Okay, Councillor Carroll.
I know everyone's reluctant to speak, but I'm inclined to support staff in their recommendations. The homeowner's not here, hasn't sent their lawyer, anything. That was the
point
first
of order.
speaker.
They spoke.
That was the first speaker. Sorry, that was a long time ago. I'm frustrated by, well, we're used to it's the norm. We think of it as the norm to do this type of address around a property. In fact, if you look at the photographs, it's actually not the norm on this street. And so while it's fair that the officer doesn't divulge who might have been the complainer, it could have been multiple homeowners. I don't see this type of, opaque structure of cedars, even the gate. I don't see this on the other homes on the street. So, well, we think of it as the norm when we drive down Bridle Path, and each and every one of those was done with the variance. It's really not the norm on this particular street, and so I'm inclined to support staff in their recommendations.
Any other speakers on the item? I'll speak. I'm going to support the fence exemption. This is a 27-page report with multiple pictures of the property. The cedars in question are spaced. They look very short. The concrete pillars at the edges of the driveway do look problematic, and we see numerous pictures of our loyal staff measuring various things. It's a very thorough report, but I think based on the property owner's deputation, I think it's worthy of supporting the request. I mean, I would request that municipal licensing go back in a year and see whether they can order these cedars to be trimmed if in fact they are the core problem here. I'm done my remarks. Yes, I will be supporting the property owner. Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
So I'd like to defer this to the November meeting and ask that MLS work with the owner perhaps to find a solution to thin things out or perhaps come to an intermediate, way where everybody is happy. Thank you.
All right, okay, so we're going to defer on a deeply divided community council on this item. So the local councillors, move deferral to the next regularly scheduled North York Community Council meeting. Is that correct? Okay, so we can put the motion on the screen and vote on it.
The next one. She said November.
Councillor Chernoslin, is this correct? It's November you're asking for, not the next regularly scheduled North York Community Council meeting?
Yes. November.
Okay.
I just think it gives a little bit more time for everybody
Well, that'll
to
give you
figure out
lots of
what
time.
they're
Okay,
doing.
so a motion to defer. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item number 10, we have 258 Glengrove Avenue West, application to remove private tree. We have 3 deputations. Robert McDonald.
Good morning. Could I be given permission to share on WebEx?
Look, I know you've got some lovely visuals, but can this be given verbally? We just do not have the luxury of time. Yeah, no, the councillors are getting very restless here. I'm going to lose my I'm going to lose my position of chair if this meeting goes on any longer.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead verbally if you'd like. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
I think that's fine. Thanks for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to respectfully ask, on behalf of my wife and I, approval to remove a tree from our property, and I'd like to explain why our request, in our view, is both reasonable and necessary. The not addressed in the city's report, in my respectful view, is the location of the tree relative to our neighbor's property. It is about 2.5 feet from our home, our structure. It also is about 2.5 feet from our neighbor's property and is therefore wedged in a V or a U area. And that is the predominant reason why we say that its root system is restricted, and it is a risk, in our view, of failure or of breakage. We are sincerely worried about this tree. When you look at it in the photo provided in the city's report, the tree is unusually large for its area. No one would choose for this tree to be planted in this area. I don't know why it was allowed to grow as large as it is, but it's been that way since we moved in 2021. We have a good relationship with our next door neighbor, Mary Papadopoulos. We have had Ms. Papadopoulos' support with this application since we originally approached her in 2022 and would not have proceeded without her blessing. We are genuinely concerned that high winds or severe weather, the tree could break or fail onto our house. That concern is not speculative. It is supported by the arborist report that we supplied with our application. I have read the city's report and their statement that they do not believe the risk of failure or breakage to be, quote, unreasonably high, end quote, is, with due respect, not enough to resolve our concerns as homeowners. It is not their house that they are talking about, and I do not see why a conclusion that the risk is not unreasonably high should suffice for any homeowner in our circumstances. Point number 2 is the aesthetic and environmental value of this tree. The tree is, in our view, unsightly and does not contribute meaningfully to Toronto's urban canopy. In contrast, our property already contains 3 other very large, healthy trees. There are 2 large Colorado spruce trees on the east side of the property and 1 very large maple tree in the back of the property, each of which we maintain and each of which we are happy with. Removing this one problematic tree in my submission would not diminish the ecological value of our lot. Point number 3 is the impact of use on our property. As you can see in the city's report, there was fungus discovered on the tree, and the city says that this causes sap to fall. Our tree releases an excessive amount of sap, which has made our driveway virtually unusable. Our children cannot play basketball under it. They have basically never used the basketball net because as soon as they try, they bounce the ball and they come inside and say there's sap on our hands. We also cannot park our vehicle beneath it without risking damage to our vehicle. One of our vehicles, a van, has been damaged by sap falling on it. We're forced to park the van at the very back of the driveway in order to not have it underneath the tree and to not cause further damage to it. In my respectful view, the city's report significantly understates the health status of this tree. They agree with the report that the tree has a fungal disease that causes excessive sap, but they don't talk about the damage it is causing to our property and the fact that we basically can't use our driveway for leisure or parking. The city also minimizes this issue by saying it can be addressed adequately through regular maintenance. That's not quite correct. We have maintained the tree, we have trimmed it, we still have fresh sap on the ground, our van still has sap on it that can't be removed absent repainting the car. Finally, point number 4 is our security concerns. Because we cannot use our driveway fully, we've had to park one of our vehicles on the street. Unfortunately, that vehicle was broken into in August. The attempted thieves smashed the rear window and tried to access wiring in the rear door in order to stop the alarm. When they couldn't do that, they left the vehicle and they left us with an insurance claim and an inconvenience. In my respectful view, had we been able to park that vehicle in the front of the driveway as the more desirable vehicle with our second vehicle behind it, it would have acted as an important deterrent, which we want to do. That's how we want to park our vehicles, and we probably would not have woken up to a broken car window and an attempted theft. I do see in the city's report that there was one objection that was raised. No one has raised any objection to us, and I don't know the substance of the objection so that I can't address it. I suspect, however, that that objection does not deal with the particular circumstances that we as homeowners are raising. My wife and I understand and support the city's commitment to protecting the canopy. We are not seeking to reduce green space. We are simply asking to remove one problematic tree while continuing to maintain and care for the other large trees on our property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant? Just one. It looks like the tree overhangs your neighbor. Have you consulted with your neighbor about your removal request?
Yes, that's the woman I mentioned at the outset. Her name's Mary Papadopoulos, and she gave her support for us removing the tree in 2002 originally, and we decided to move forward this year and confirmed her support again.
You've been working on this since 2002?
No, we moved in 2021. We first raised the issue of removal in 2022 when we first experienced sap falling. We didn't bring the application until this year because it just got to the point where we've had enough and we'd like to use our driveway.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks very much. Any other questions for the deputant? No. Okay, thank you. Faror Gorbani?
That's my wife. I was speaking on her.
Oh, okay. Nicole Corrado? Online? Nicole? Ms. Corrado?
Yes, hello.
Great, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, yes. What I was going to say is I will have to disagree with everything he has said. For one, the tree is healthy. The tree is not going to fall. I grew up with a very similar tree just as close to my house. It never caused any problems. It's a beautiful tree. The tree is healthy. The tree is not going to fall. With weather, the tree is actually quite stable. The shape of a tree, there's any spruce, is a cone, and that's a very stable shape. The other thing I would say is with climate change, we absolutely should be saving as many trees as possible. And yes, there are 3 other trees in the yard, which means this tree is part of a family. This tree could even be a mother tree who shares her sap and communicates with fungus in the soil. Yes, communicating through fungus to the other trees and be sharing her food. Her sap tree sap is basically like tree milk, so she may be nursing the other trees. So yeah, if you remove her, then you may remove the other trees because the other trees will not have their mother. The other thing I was going to say is children absolutely benefit from having trees in their yard because children like to spontaneously play around in and around trees. So move the basketball net. You don't have to cut down the tree. Children would do better in a yard with trees rather than a barren yard that, because basketball, that's a great game, but children also need to have spontaneous play, and children sometimes just like to just sit and be. I was homeschooled, and it's grown me because even today as an adult, I learn and think a lot better around trees. And as for the sap going on the car, I mean, come on, just wash your car. It's a lot of these requests are just really unreasonable. And cutting this tree, all it's going to teach children is that trees are inconvenient and you can just cut them down. It teaches children to devalue nature. So I would say, please save this tree. Save every tree. The tree's healthy, the tree's maintainable. Save them.
All right, thank you for your comments.
For the city to say.
All right, thank you for your comments. Any questions for the deputant?
Yes.
Councillor Cole.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, why are you so interested in this tree? Are you living next door? I'm not, just for my information.
I just love trees. That's it. I used to live, I grew up in Toronto. I grew up actually in Scarborough. I grew up in Toronto, but I moved to Beaconsfield, Quebec, and there's tons of trees here. But I grew up for the first 35 years of my life was in Toronto. I moved out, but I've always been commenting on every deputation, putting deputations at every, offer to cut trees, to stating my objection, because somebody, I'm basically like the Lorax. I just like to speak for the trees.
Well, that's wonderful. So you're in Beaconsfield, Quebec?
Yes, and I'm looking to run for city council.
In Beaconsfield, or in Toronto?
In Beaconsfield, because I live in Beaconsfield.
Okay.
If I still lived in Toronto, I would run for council.
Sure.
Of course, but I live in Beaconsfield now, so I'm going to run.
No, thank you very much for your incredible interest in trees, and best of luck in your run for council in Beaconsfield. They need a tree person like you there, I'm sure. Beautiful area. Okay, anyways, thank you very much for caring.
Okay. Okay, back on the planet Earth. Any other questions for the deputant? No. Questions for staff? Speakers?
I have, it's just
Question
staff.
for staff. Councillor Cole.
Yeah, so this tree here, the tree is, what kind of tree is it?
Through the chair, it's a Colorado blue spruce tree.
Right, and they're very slow growing, aren't they? How old is this tree?
I wouldn't hazard to guess. It could be established by a number of ways. I would only say that it was probably planted sometime after the homes were built.
Yeah, although, I think it's at least 60, 70 years old, how slow. Yeah, no, I know the Papadap is next door too. But anyways, just, so it's generally, all these trees have sap, right? Have a sap.
Through the chair, as our report says, the production of sap, the dripping of sap, is more notable from conifers because the sap is sticky and forms these sort of globules. And in addition, trees that are in the latter half of their life of this species are prone to this very common disease. And one of the well-known characteristics or effects of this disease is that it increases the production of sap that drips from tiny wounds underneath the crown of the tree. So an experienced arborist could stand under the tree and look at the ground and identify the fungus in the tree because of the prevalence of sap.
Could you explain the fungus comment?
Cytosporic canker is a fungus that infects the stems of the tree. It, to some extent, may impede the flow of nutrients up and down the trunk, and the tree's response is to produce exude more sap. Kind of comes down like a rain through underneath the entire canopy.
So therefore, the existence of fungus on the tree contributes to the emission of sap, right?
Correct.
So can you get rid of the fungus?
Unfortunately, no. You could try to improve the health of the tree through what we call cultural methods, things like pruning, fertilizing, mulching, aeration, air circulation through the crown of the tree. But with this particular disease, any effective or notable improvement in health is very difficult to achieve, especially with an elder tree like this one.
Yes, so it's not going to be easy to get rid of the fungus problem. What about trimming the tree? Would trimming help? Because it seems to be this is one of the major concerns, the fungus not allowing in the park and the driveway, can't play basketball. Can you trim the tree to deal with the emission of sap?
Through the chair, you can reduce the problem, but you won't eliminate the problem. What all trimming would do would be to remove some of the branches from which sap falls. You would then have to worry about over pruning the tree. And in my experience and my opinion with a tree of this nature, the amount of pruning that you could do that would be legal and appropriate and within industry standards wouldn't really achieve the kind of difference that the owner is seeking based on their comments.
And how many other trees are there on the property?
Through the chair, we didn't look at that in detail. I would refer back to the owner's comments earlier of additional trees on the property. He identified a couple other of this species.
Yeah, no, just on Google Maps, it looks like there's other Colorado spruce flanking the property. It looks like 2 or 3 there. And he said he's got maple or something in the back. Okay, anyways, thank you very much for the information.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other speakers on the item? I'm going to be supporting the property owner. I think he's made a compelling case that this tree is damaging their enjoyment of their property, affecting their personal security by having to park their car on the road. Staff have acknowledged a disease, a fungal disease of the tree. They have said that the chances of failure or breakage to be low, but I think in this case we err on the side of the property owner, and I will be supporting the request for removal. That's my position.
Yeah.
Any other speakers on the item? Councillor Cole? Councillor Carroll?
I don't wish to speak. I just want to record a vote. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Cole?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, we've got national interest in this tree from Beaconsfield, Quebec, which is wonderful. And I don't, cast negative comments on that, but on the other hand, it's interesting. Comment from Beaconsfield. Just, I think it, just talking about the damage to the car, whether you park your car on the road or park your car in your driveway, the car thieves will steal them and break into them anywhere, everywhere, and they're still doing it nonstop until something is done about our ridiculous laws in this country that allow people to steal cars and get away with it. But anyways, so that's not going to stop it. Wherever you park your car, they're going to steal it, unfortunately. I just think the tree does bother the homeowner quite a bit, obviously. And I mean, I have a 100-year-old oak tree in my front yard, and I can't tell you how many problems I get from the squirrels knocking down the acorns this time of year. Gee, I could grab one of those squirrels, but I tell them something. So, I mean, trees, there's leaves, there's sap, there's everything. So that's the reality of trees and living with trees. But we need our trees. This is a real tough one. But, I'm just going to, I can see the anxiety this is causing this family. And obviously the deputy is very upset by this tree. And I move that we ask the deputy to basically pay for the replacement of 5 trees and to proceed to allow him to cut down the tree, but he has to pay for the planting of 5 trees in consultation with our forestry department. Very, very difficult decision here, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cole. I thought I saw Councillor Chernos-Lynn's hand go up.
I just wanted to, because there's been a recorded vote that's been asked for, I just wanted to put on the record that I am concerned about the tree canopy. You know, we have a strategy that the city has put forward, that council has endorsed. And that's actually, that makes up, our tree canopy makes up the majority of the trees that are on private properties in our city. And so it is important to protect them. That said, I think the fact that staff have provided an alternate recommendation where there would be a combination of on-site planting and cash in lieu of planting for 5 new trees, I think that's a happy middle, and I'm comfortable with that recommendation, that alternate recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chernow-Slin. Anyone else to speak on the item? So Councillor Carroll has requested a recorded vote, but she has stepped out for a bit. Why don't we hold the item down for a few minutes till she returns, and then we will do a recorded vote on it. Number 11 is 27 Wynn Road, application to remove a private tree. We have one deputant, Nicole Corrado.
Hi. Oh, okay. Hi, it's the crazy tree lady again. Crazy tree lady from Beaconsfield here again.
All right.
I'm going to say I think these tree removal requests are absolutely ridiculous. And for the points that I said before, I really hope you stop approving these cuttings. Yeah, people complain about trees. People complain about squirrels. But trees and squirrels exist in Toronto. If you really don't want trees or squirrels, move to Antarctica, where there are no trees or squirrels. But then these people will probably complain about penguins as well, because it seems like the people who complain about trees seem to complain about everything. So I would say, please save this tree. That this other one says that the tree is in close proximity to another tree that's approved for removal. The approved removal will make the subject tree unstable. Okay, well, why not just save both trees? That would be the most logical thing would be just don't cut either tree. That would be even if the other tree is quote dead, it probably isn't. Actually, it's still a home for animals. It still provides habitat and structure for the other tree. If the other tree, one tree has to be removed, then at least save the Norway spruce. Again, Norway spruces are cone-shaped. They're very stable trees. Trees are designed to be stable. And this tree's not going to fall down if you cut down the other tree, though I would recommend you save both trees. Worst case, if you have to cut down one tree, then just plant another tree beside this tree. It seems like the request to cut down this tree, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It seems like these requests are just given by people who don't really have a lot of respect for nature. And I'm sorry to be insulting people, but yeah, councillors have to listen to their constituents, but they also have to be reasonable and say some requests are just so unreasonable that I would hope you just say no. You can replace trees, but they're going to be much smaller. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to be the same type of tree. They're not going to be related to the other trees. Like I said before, the trees are family. They need to be with their family members. It's just, you can't be just cutting down trees. You just can't. And the other thing I was going to say is, yeah, I grew up with spruce in the yard. They're homes to squirrels. They're homes to birds. They provide shade. And yeah, so I don't know, if you keep cutting trees, yeah, a person can pay for 5 new trees, but but they're not going to be the same age. Plus, sadly, a lot of the people who push for these requests for tree cutting, a lot of them are rich, and paying for new trees doesn't matter to them. Yeah, I rent a place. I'm not rich. Even though I live in a rich area, I'm not rich. And,
All right,
and,
let's, no, we appreciate your musings, but we have to stick with the item in front of us.
yes, okay, yes.
Rather
What I
than
would
that.
say is please save this Norway spruce. And if possible, save the other tree adjacent to them, because we just do not have enough trees in Toronto. There's another person, complained about coyotes. I think one of the councillors complained about squirrels. Well, we would not have these conflicts if we learned to get along and if we kept preserving our trees.
All right, okay, thank you for your comments. Are there any questions for the deputant? No, okay. Thank you very much. Questions for staff? Councillor Cheung?
Thank you. Through the chair, I see that this tree is leaning, and the reason it's leaning is because the dead tree beside it that has been approved for removal has caused it to grow that way. Are there any risks to this degree of lean, and is there any corrective action that could be taken to help it grow straight again once the other tree is removed?
Through the chair, I can jump to the end. There's no way to straighten the tree with the larger walnut removed, and it has been permitted for removal because it was assessed to be in poor condition, unlike the spruce tree here. With the walnut removed, the light competition from the walnut may allow the spruce tree to rebalance the distribution of green foliage somewhat. The green foliage may grow better where the walnut used to impede or impair that, but there would be no way to correct the lean of the stem on a tree like this. However, forestry doesn't believe that the lean of the stem warrants a risk rating that would lead to the tree being in poor condition. Yes, the tree leans, but we find no other evidence of weakness or defects. There's no signs that the roots are moving out of the ground. There's no signs of cavities or splits or fractures or anything like that. So the lean alone, in forestry's opinion, as arborists, doesn't warrant a poor condition rating that would lead to a removal permit.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Cheung?
I'm going to support staff recommendations and vote to refuse the tree removal. It is a large tree. We want to protect our canopy with all the development and the secondary plans that are being put in place that bring more density, as well as the addition of garden suites. The plethora of reasons to remove trees continues to multiply. So every tree and what it contributes to our shade and oxygen of our city, I think, is really important. And so I will therefore be supporting staff recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Any other speakers on the item? No? Okay. Councillor Cheung has moved staff recommendations to deny the request to remove a private tree at 27 Wynn Road. All those in favor? Councillor Chernos-Lynn, we're voting on 27 Wynn Road. Councillor Cheung has moved staff recommendations to deny the request to remove the tree. So we're going to vote. Yes. All those in favor of supporting the staff recommendation? Okay. Yeah, no, we haven't voted. We have to go back. No, we held the item down on.
Okay, we are now on NY 26.12, 237 Glenview Avenue. We have 3 deputants. Martha Fusca, are you online or in person? You're here? Okay, great. You can come down to the podium So David Nelligan will speak on behalf of Martha and Alberto. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and you have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is David Nelligan. I'm a lawyer at Erdon Burles in Toronto, and I'm here on behalf of the owner. Thanks. And you'll be pleased to know I don't have any slides to delay anything today. The matter that's before you today is here because the chief building official has received one or more written notices of an objection to the issuance of a demolition permit. Having reviewed the objection letters, I'd like to offer just a few quick points of context and clarification that I hope will assist both this council and the neighbors who have objected. First, based on my reading of the objection letters, there appears to be some lingering concerns or confusion about a minor variance application that my client applied for this past March. The variance is in that application related to driveway width and floor space index. Now, the Committee of Adjustment refused that minor variance application, and my client did not file an appeal or challenge the committee's decision. Instead, the plans were revised to remove the driveway width, or to reduce the driveway width, and to convert the single detached home to a duplex. And in doing so, it resolved the need for any variances from the zoning bylaw. My client applied for a building permit as of right with no need for further Planning Act applications. And it's my understanding that review of that building permit application is closed and is awaiting resolution of this matter for the permit to be issued. So in response to some of the concerns raised by the neighbors in their objection letters, there is a replacement building for which the building permit application has been submitted and reviewed. The replacement building complies with the zoning bylaw and does not require additional Planning Act applications. And the replacement building will be constructed concurrent with the demolition, so the property will not sit vacant indefinitely. My clients are also aware about concerns some of the neighbors have raised with respect to the impact of construction and demolition on their properties. The issues have been discussed with the neighbors already and will continue as the project advances. The neighbors and this council, community council, can find comfort in the fact that both the demolition and the building permit applications have been thoroughly reviewed by building staff, and that all work must and will comply with the Building Code Act, the Building Code, and all applicable law. Finally, at least one neighbor raised concerns about heritage impacts from the demolition. This property is neither listed nor designated on the city's heritage register, nor is it within a heritage conservation district. Finally, I'd like to briefly comment on the options that are presented to Community Council in the staff report. As you know, pursuant to the Municipal Code and to Section 33 of the Planning Act, your options today are to approve the demolition permit or to approve it with conditions. Staff have provided you with the proposed conditions, but it's my submission to you that these conditions are not necessary. The conditions put before you are standard conditions that are recommended for residential demolition permit applications where there is no replacement building permit for a new construction. These include the installation of construction fencing, the removal of debris, the backfilling of holes, and the laying of sod over demolished areas. These conditions address concerns that arise when lands may sit vacant indefinitely following demolition in order to avoid dangerous and unsightly long-term construction sites that invite pests and other problems. In this case, the construction of the replacement building will occur concurrent or immediately following the demolition, as required by the building permit. There is no risk of the site sitting demolished for the long term, and as a result, there's no utility to these proposed conditions. Rather, the conditions risk confusion and uncertainty when it comes to enforcing them, and they overcomplicate a construction process that is already strictly regulated and prescribed by the building code and the city's bylaws. So I ask you, therefore, to approve this demolition permit without conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions of the deputant?
No, but I have questions of staff.
Oh, thank you for your deputation. And questions of staff?
Yes, I'd just like a clarification where the representative of the homeowner said that the conditions that we apply routinely to demolitions are not necessary for this demolition application. Could you comment on that?
Through the chair. Typically, when permits do have a replacement building that are accompanying the demolition application, there is no challenge, right? And the houses are demolished and then subsequently constructed, right? In this scenario, because it is in the former TEY districts, that there is the option for residents to file the objections and then subsequently have those objections heard at council in the event that the risks of not constructing the buildings are captured within the second option that's presented, if that risk exists.
But what about the other conditions, you know, that we have proper fencing and safety, cleanup, et cetera? Do we have to do what we usually do, and that is approve with conditions, or do we take into account what the representative just said, that you don't need the conditions? That's what I'd like to get clear.
Through the chair, the conditions are not necessary if the construction is to commence in a timely manner after the demolition is completed.
Do you have any assurances that's going to be done?
We do not have assurances, right? So we wouldn't be able to provide that assurances from staff perspective. It's up to the applicant and the constructor to abide by that.
So, again, this is the first time I've ever run across this.
Yeah.
So should we, as we do per forma, approve with conditions? What do you recommend to be on the safe side?
I would recommend that there is no danger with applying the conditions. If the house is subsequently built in a timely manner, then those conditions would be null and void and wouldn't be required as a condition of that issuance.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Vice Chair?
Thank you. Sorry, so are there any more questions?
No.
No? Okay.
I'll speak.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'll grant the demolition application with the condition, condition number three, approve with conditions.
Great. Councillor Cole is moving staff recommendation number 3, demolition with conditions. Number 2. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thank you, and I will hand it back to the chair.
Councillor Carroll, we did hold an item down. I think it was a tree removal. You had requested a recorded vote, so we held it down for your return.
Oh, thank you. I thought you might have just proceeded conveniently.
No. We respect
I appreciate that.
We
Thank
respect democracy around here on occasion.
Thank
you. Okay. So if my memory's correct, I had.
Yeah, it was 10.
The motion on the floor was to approve the request to remove the private tree. So all those in favor on a recorded vote, Councillor Cole, Councillor Pasternak, Councillor Burnside, and Councillor Chernos-Lynn. Everyone's so afraid to vote. Against, opposed?
Yes.
Councillor Carroll and Councillor Cheung.
Thank you.
Okay, that carries. Okay, we're on item 18. Okay, sorry, we're on number 13. It was held down with no deputations. Councillor Cheung.
Staff?
Questions of staff?
Do we know why the applicant is asking for this demolition without a building permit?
Through the chair, I believe this one is specific to the condition of the property and how it's in a derelict condition, and they've encountered some issues with keeping the upkeep of the property or intrusion into the property as being an issue.
Has MLS visited the site or any enforcement been done about the property conditions?
I can't answer for MLS, but I know our inspection staff have been out and they've verified that the house is boarded up at least, and entry is prevented. So it is safe from entry at this time.
And what is our policy in a demolition request such as this one?
There's no specific policy. It's essentially to present the options to community council and whether or not they want to approve the demolition or approve it with conditions or refuse it completely.
Mm-hmm. Well, so there isn't a requirement to have a building permit in order to have a demolition?
That's correct. Chapter 363 does not make that as a mandatory requirement.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Any other questions for staff? Speakers?
Yes, I will move recommendation number 3, demolition with conditions. I don't like to demolish homes, and I think so many developers, when they are buying properties to develop them, they often let them fall into disrepair, forcing us into this situation. And these are homes. Sometimes I see homes that are quite new fall into disrepair. And I think, everyone is saying housing crisis. And I know that a lot of developers are reluctant to be landlords, given the challenges of the landlord and tenant board. So they prefer to just vacate the property and then let it rot until they can just get a demolition. So I'm not sure policy-wise how we can prevent this ongoing loss of housing across our city, but I also understand when neighbors live near these eyesores, it is also very challenging. So I think having conditions is one way to preserve the neighborhood, but I do hope we can find a remedy in the future to prevent these types of situations. Thank you.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't speak to this item, and I will be supporting the local councillor on this. But I think the big problem here has been touched upon, where this is an opportunity for people to live in houses until the construction takes place. The dilemma facing the builder is if he keeps renting it out, he will not be able to the builder will not be able to potentially remove the tenants or have the tenants leave when construction commences. So what you need actually are amendments to the Tenancies Act and to make sure that to see what kind of elasticity you have in the provisions. And this is something that we should be working on because we're losing hundreds of potential rentals, because of the rigidity of policy. So I will be supporting the local councillor on that, but that is definitely a conversation because I've had this same dilemma in our area. Okay, so let's put the motion on the screen. Option 3 has been moved. Approving the application with conditions. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next item is item 14, a series of addresses on Bayview Avenue, residential demolition applications. I do not, what the hell is that banging? I do not have any deputations on the item. Are there questions for staff?
No questions. I will move to approve the demolition with conditions.
Okay, Councillor Cheung has moved, I assume that's item 3, option 3?
Yes.
For us, okay. We'll put that on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I think I have, next item is 18.
Yeah.
Okay, 824 Shepherd Avenue West, 181 Coxfield Avenue, construction staging area. We have one speaker listed. Alexander DeRazio. He's online. Alexander? Alexander? Alex? He is online? Alex? We cannot hear you. Hold the item. Alex? I will hold. I think we're going to hold the item down and try in a few minutes to get Alex back on the line. Okay? Okay. Councilors, we're going to move to item 21, Bayview Ridge, parking amendments. It was held by Councilor Chernos-Lynn. And we do have a speaker on the item, Jean Chodos. Mr. Chodos?
It's Mrs., please.
Sorry.
Despite the spelling.
I do apologize. Okay, thanks for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I initiated this request I'm president of our condo association for the townhouses that border Bayview and Bayview Ridge. I started this process in July 2022 with Jay Robinson because this is the only street west of Bayview that has parking restrictions between York Mills and Bayview Ridge. There are none on the other streets. There's no signage whatsoever. We moved in, and effectively what seems to have happened is for this development to go forward, either 3 or 4 homes with driveways, and so visitor parking for 6 to 8 people in their driveways were demolished in order to allow 11 townhouses to go up. The 11 townhouses were permitted with 2.5 visitor parking spots. And when I say a half, it's because of the structure. The way the visitor parking was planned really doesn't allow for more than 1.5 cars or 1 large car. We encountered issues as well because we ended up with a community mailbox and no stopping signs on both the north and south sides between Bayview and Bayview Ridge Circle. So that when we had visitors, when we had people coming to service these properties, landscapers, window washers, you name it, there was no place for them to legally park. I don't know the history. I moved in 2021. I don't know the history that caused that signage to be here as opposed to anywhere else in the area, but I lived 5 minutes away in a home. We chose to remain in the area. We are representative of the ownership of the townhouses that are being approved along Bayview. They're a lot of retirees or people with teenage children or people with very young children who want to be in the area, and this is the most affordable type of housing in order to be in this area. The problem that I saw is that as North York is going to higher density and approving more and more townhouses, and there are more developments going up and down Bayview, they haven't allowed for the overflow of parking to be accommodated, so that legal parking to be accommodated. Sorry, I should put it that way. So I approached this. I got the townhouse owners. We have signatures from the homes that would be most affected on the north and south side of Bayview Ridge. Signed on approval for parking on one or both sides of Bayview Ridge. We had, I had to re-obtain signatures because it took such a long time to get this in front of anyone. And we had one written objection, and the one written objection was from a homeowner at 101 Bayview Ridge, who's the furthest away from all of this. I mean, would not be affected. He has legal parking in front of his house and a circular driveway where he has 3 or 4 cars parked at any given time in front of his home. And yet he was the one objecting. The proposal that came forward, when I originally approached Jay Robinson and her assistant, I was told that it absolutely made sense for parking on the south side of Bayview Ridge, given that there's a community mailbox, given that there's the width of Bayview Ridge, the street, that it wouldn't impede anything, to allow for parking. What has come forward at this point seems to be an attempt to please everybody, if I can, and a necessarily complex attempt. So currently there is no stopping for 180 meters. It's 300, I'm still in feet, I apologize, 387 feet. The proposal is to go to no stopping on the north side, but to increase the area for no stopping to 426 feet, from 49 feet to 426 feet. No stopping on the south side, starting at 262 feet. So it allows for, and then on both sides, no stopping for the first 15 meters, and then no standing on the south
You
side.
could,
for 8.
yeah. Jean, if you could wrap up, please.
Okay, so my apologies. I find that this is A, unnecessarily complex. B, it doesn't address the parking problems that we have in this area when we need to be serviced. We have to ask if a landscaper is parking on the street during the 3 hours allowed, that he not service our properties between 3 and 4, or that he move his vehicles. There's a school just south of us. It is natural for those parents to want to be on time to pick up their children between 3 and 4. It doesn't impede traffic. That's not a high traffic time for
Okay.
Bayview Ridge.
All right. Well,
This makes no sense.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Jean, for your comments. I don't have any other deputants listed on the item. Questions for staff? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I have questions for staff. I wonder if staff could just speak to the parking restrictions that, like, this solution that that has been suggested based on the fact that we had no parking and now we're going to be allowing parking, but not parking during school hours or really close to Bayview. I wonder if staff could just speak to why it's been recommended to be done as it is being done. Like, what is the rationale for not allowing people to be able to park too close to Bayview? What is the, why is it being suggested that we do it as it is being suggested in this report?
Through the
Chair, good morning. Sid Rahimzada with Traffic Operations. Essentially, we've recommended putting no parking within or in close proximity to the intersection to deter any vehicles parking and obstructing the flow of two-way traffic. And typically, we find if we just put a no parking prohibition, that still encourages, because there is an exemption for those with accessible permit holder, like the blue accessible permits, to park in those areas. And so to discourage that as well, we go with the most restrictive type of measure, especially if there's non-compliance and people without those permits park there. So to clear the intersection so we can allow two-way traffic and improve sight lines, especially if you're at the stop bar or stop sign, to see pedestrians at the crosswalks or the sidewalk area, and then again to see vehicle traffic and opposing traffic. That's why we do the most restrictive form of parking, which is the no stopping anytime. And if we have a statutory 3-hour parking area in the middle, really it's hard for Toronto Police Services to come out and enforce that more often, or it's unfortunate due to resources. So we generally like to have a balanced approach where we have like a time restrictive measure that allows for that vehicular turnover and enforcement opportunities. So we try to listen to the residents' concerns and what they really need in terms of demand and supply. And that's sort of the approach that we wanted to make sure that traffic was still flowing, but looking at like how do we mitigate any congestion points, and that's why we had to take it to the most extreme type of measure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chernos. Lynn, any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Chernos, what are your plans with this item?
I was going to move to adopt the recommendations in this.
Okay. Okay. So recommendations are moved for Bayview Ridge parking amendments. Put them on the screen. Yeah, the staff recommendations are being moved.
Yes, because I think these address the main points. I understand the deputant's frustration, but I think this provides for some parking where there was none, which was the original intent, and it provides for safety, as staff has explained.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. If we have them on the line, I'll go. Yeah, okay. Alexander Durazio? We're going to move back to number 18, 824 Shepherd Avenue West and 181 Coxfield Avenue. Alex?
I'd like to apologize. Yes, sorry.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'd like to apologize to Community Council. Was having some technical difficulties earlier.
No problem. Do you want to just give some context? You are the property owner?
Correct. Mr. Chair, I am the property owner.
Okay.
To describe a little bit about the property and the application. So the property is a through property that fronts onto Shepherd and Coxfield Avenue. The site is approximately just over 400 feet in length. We are submitted a application to take a portion of the road on Coxfield for an interim period of time. The original application was for a 6-month period to facilitate deliveries to service a north crane. This site, given the length of the site, we will require a north and south crane. The north crane cannot reach Shepherd. Also, too, Shepherd has hydro lines there, which present a safety risk. The original application did not change the function of Coxfield Avenue. The portion of road along our frontage would eliminate some street parking. However, at that point in the road, it was a one-way only. It continues to be a one-way only. There's sidewalk that dies at our property, and we will not be taking any more of the sidewalk. along Coxfield Avenue. Through working with staff, there were recommendations made which we were able to agree to that made some changes to hopefully address community concerns. One being making Coxfield entirely one-way. Right now, it is only a one-way starting at our frontage. Eliminate all street parking along the south side of the roadway, and implementing a safe pedestrian safe pedestrian walkway. Currently, there is no sidewalk, and we would implement a safe sidewalk for people to cross through. And lastly, just to ensure that we're not taking more time than we need, we reduced the timeline of the application for 3 months to hopefully avoid any disruption to the neighborhood longer than what we need. Once the project gets up to ground floor, this is only to facilitate the underground parking garage construction. Once we construct the ground floor slab, all staging will be done within the site, and we will be giving back that portion of the road to Coxfield Avenue, and it will be able to function how it does currently.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? So I have a couple. So you're asking for 3 months of access on Coxfield. What happens after 3 months? Will there no longer be trucks on Coxfield, or it'll be minimal access?
It will, Mr. Chair, the primary access point into this site will be from Shepherd. All the pickup points to facilitate the cranes will be within this site. There may be limited access or exiting onto Coxfield, where they'll make an immediate left onto the roadway approaching west towards Wilmington, which is less of a neighborhood. It's very close to the Wilmington intersection. But the primary access point will be off of Shepherd, and all staging to facilitate the cranes will be within the site.
So for a building like this, materials, bringing in materials, truckloads of various construction materials, that will all be done on Shepherd after 3 months?
Primarily, Mr. Chair, that will be our main access point.
Okay. And as far as worker parking, what is the plan for that? Because that always becomes an issue.
Mr. Chair, we are working with some parking areas in the neighborhood to rent out some stalls. We've been informing our trades to avoid parking on Coxfield Avenue.
So when it comes to the recommendations in front of us, what you're suggesting is a little bit of a deviation from the recommendations in front of us. Are you suggesting that we work between now and City Council to amend what's before us to make it more compliant with the community?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, thanks very much. Questions for staff? Yes, Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know this is in your ward, but my question actually, this is a perfect example for me of what I hear downtown councillors talking about, where construction staging and cutting off sidewalks is more common. And what the BIAs down there complain about is they put up with it, and then when they leave, they sort of pull back into their construction site property, and they leave a mess where the detour was. They pull up the hoarding, but there's just junk, maybe broken pylons, things like that just never leaves the sidewalk. So my question is, we're setting up terms here, but on August 31st, 2026, whose responsibility is it the responsibility of whoever is the designated inspector on the site to go out there and make sure not only did they open the sidewalk back up, but they have cleaned it up to our satisfaction? Is that a part of the terms in a situation like this?
Through the chair, staff from work zone here, we have recommended to the developer to clean the site on a daily basis, sweep any debris, any dust for the entire staging area, as well as sidewalks and the roadway for the entire staging area there.
And are there any, does the inspector go out and make sure that they fully restored the sidewalk to, there's no debris, no nothing?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I ask is because this keeps coming up when I'm dealing with the Alliance of Downtown BIAs, that when they go back and say they've left some junk there, who's going to clear this up? What they hear is the inspector, now that they're not in the detour area, the inspector has gone back to just inspecting the building and the on-site property. And so you have orphaned debris sitting on the sidewalk. Can we put that in the terms, that it needs to be restored to a level of cleanliness, or we just assume?
Through the chair, it's actually one of the recommendations in the report.
Is it? Okay, then all we have to do is watch this, because there's a continual feedback that while it's there downtown in their construction staging areas, it doesn't actually happen. So as this is sort of going to become more and more the norm up here, that's what we got to watch for. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. I have questions for staff, but does anyone else have questions for staff? So what the property owner has said, that the on-staging or the on-site staging will commence after 3 months, that Coxfield really isn't needed. But even with on-site staging, you still need trucks coming in with material. Under this plan, will they come in after 3 months on Coxfield or on Shepherd?
Through the chair, mainly on Shepherd.
So some Coxfield access is necessary?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the owner has said that they can't conduct this early operation, the first few months, on Shepherd because of hydro lines. Now, we move hydro lines all the time. I'm just wondering why that was not kind of contemplated, or maybe it was contemplated, why it wasn't done in this case.
Through the chair, I believe the developer have asked Hydro, and Hydro was against moving the lines. We're assuming that it's mainly because of the expense.
Toronto Hydro would not, even if the property owner paid, they would not move these lines?
That's correct.
Okay. So after 3 months, the most of the truck and delivery, if we amend this agreement, if we amend this staff report, would come on Shepherd. What if the property owner needs more than 3 months? What happens then?
Through the chair, can you repeat that question?
Well, I mean, they're saying they can get the job done in 3 months. We know the world is paved with good intentions, but what if they need more time?
We will have to bring this to community council again.
They'll have to come back.
Correct.
To community council. What about pedestrian safety? Coxfield does not have sidewalks. It is an access point to local schools. It's a main kind of east-west cut-through street. What do we do about the chaos on the street? Do we have a plan for that?
Well, through the chair, staff have recommended that we put in a temporary walkway around the construction staging area, all the way up to Garden Street. Currently, there's no sidewalks on Coxfield, but staff have recommended a temporary protected walkway that'll be implemented all the way up to Goddard Street, which is the next street over.
And that'll be in place before?
Correct.
Because they've been working there for months. They've been doing shoring. you know, so I don't
So
know.
the chair, they're only working through Shepherd right now. They haven't started on Coxfield yet.
No trucks are coming, no materials coming in on Coxfield?
Not yet.
Hmm.
So the chair, their starting date on Coxfield will be November 31st.
All right. Okay, all right, thank you very much. I'd like to speak on the item, and I will be moving this to council without recommendation. Anyone else want to speak? It needs more work. Okay, so I will speak unless anyone else wants to, and hell is that hammering? Murphy. So this has been, we've spent the last couple of days in meetings with local residents, very concerned about the construction management plan on Coxfield, the comings and goings of heavy trucks, materials, dirt, dust, risk to pedestrians. Coxfield does not have sidewalks. So we've talked through this over the last couple of days with the property owner, with city staff, with the local residents. And the conclusion was that this report has to be amended to accommodate some of the concerns of the local community. And the clock sort of ran out. So what we're going to do is we're going to send this to council without recommendation. We're going to make sure that Coxfield is a safe place for pedestrians and motorists and homeowners, that we mitigate a lot of the noise and dust through various measures, and that we redeploy the staging and the construction delivery of material to Shepherd after 3 months. Whether this developer can meet that 3-month deadline, I do not know. They say it's possible, but they may be back here for an extension. So with that, I think we need the time between now and council to implement some amendments to this plan so that it accommodates and allays the fears of local residents. It makes sure it's safe for pedestrians, safe for motorists, and of course provides a situation in which the disruption of local residents is minimized. So that's what I'll be doing, colleagues. I'll be moving this to council without recommendation. And the motion is on the screen, and I would say to residents who are listening to this, and of course our city staff, that we will work on this between now and city council to have an appropriate amendments to the staff report to balance off the things that we've talked about today. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, councillors, we're on item number 22. We have speakers. Roseanne Renzetti. Roseanne?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Thanks
very
for
good,
joining
thank
us.
you.
You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. This application, I only registered in case there were other speakers registering to object. So I just wanted to be clear why this application was put forward. I have a child who is 20. She is currently enrolled in public school. She will be moving to day programs for people with developmental disabilities next fall. And she will always have a need for transport, whether it is school bus or Wheel-Trans. At the moment, our street has a lot of street parking, which we absolutely love because it encourages people to come to our neighborhood and shop and dine here, which is fantastic. However, it makes it very hard for school buses or for Wheel-Trans to pull into our driveway to pick her up. And it makes it impossible for them to park in front of our house to pick her up. So consequently, they usually stop in the middle of the street. She's been able to board safely most of the time. But I do have concerns that she can't board very safely in winter when there are a lot more obstructions. We have people honking and trying to get around the buses, and we have neighbors who have complained that the school bus blocks them. Now, I have to reiterate that any bus that picks her up is not there for more than a minute or 2 minutes. But because we've had a lot of trouble with this process, we asked for an application to allow only Wheel-Trans or school bus parking in front of our home between 8 and 9 a.m. and 4 and 5 p.m., which is typically when she is picked up and dropped off. The rest of the time, we emphasized that we wanted the parking to be free. It's just for those pickup and drop-offs. So I'm hoping that council can understand the need for this and approve the application. And I see that it already has been reviewed and approved in a preliminary way. So I'm hopeful that it will go forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your comments, Roseanne. Councillor Chernos-Lynn, questions for the deputant?
It's not really a question. I just wanted to thank you for staying on today to just provide that information, and I'm really hoping this will go through, and for working with us on this. Thank you.
Okay, are there questions for the deputant? No? Speakers? Councillor Chernos-Lynn?
I just wanted to explain that this is a great solution. This is providing a dedicated space during certain hours of the day when there is a need for this. And if we don't have this, it ends up being that the street is blocked. And so this is really a solution that benefits this particular family, but also benefits the whole street and the neighborhood as a whole. And so I really just am very hopeful that everybody will support this. I think this is something where our office has worked with the community member to make an improvement. And to me, this is municipal government working at its best. So very much hoping this will go through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Councillor Chernos-Lynn has moved the staff recommendations. Put them on the screen. Staff recommendations being moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I'd like to move to item 24, Bayview Avenue, between Moore Avenue and Pottery. I understand we held that down. There's no deputations, but Councillor Chernos-Lynn, you have an amendment?
I do. I have a few amendments to this. My colleagues may recall that there was a very bad accident at the towards the top of the Bayview extension where it starts to curve, where a car went, either lost control. We still don't know exactly what happened. The police have been looking into this, but there was an extremely bad.
Guys.
Colleagues.
Guys, we have a speaker.
There was a terrible, terrible accident. And so we had asked for a safety review of this. And so we've just asked for a little bit more to come back to us with respect to the Vision Zero design principles. We understand that this area isn't slated for massive renewal until a later date, but we would like to get a little bit more meat and potatoes on this to try and make some interim measures or to improve things. So we've worked with staff on item number 1. On item number 2, we had thought that there would be some attention paid to an intersection that's at the other part of the S-curve. And that really wasn't highlighted in what we were provided today. So we're asking staff to review an to undertake an operational efficiency and safety review of where Bennington Heights Drive and Evergreen Gardens, people are trying to turn northbound, exiting the Bennington Heights area. And it's very challenging. We hear from a number of Bennington Heights residents how challenging it is to get out onto Bayview northbound there. And so we'd like to see some improvements there, specifically with respect to whether there could be pavement markings or something to just mark that people shouldn't block their entrance as they're waiting for the light at Moore Avenue, going northbound on Bayview. So we're hoping that that will come back in the second quarter of 2026, just as some possible things that could be looked at. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chernos. Lynn, any other speakers on the item? Okay, so the motions are on the screen. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? And the item is amended. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we're required to hear a presentation about proposed crosswalk marking policy and always stop sign control justification policy. So I assume staff are ready for that?
Just getting
right?
connected.
We can, how much time do you need?
Under 10 minutes.
Under 5 minutes?
10. I know I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'll try and make it brief.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Shada Sanenajad. I'm the manager of Vision Zero Projects and Transportation Services. Here today to give you a brief presentation on what is in the report that is in front of you on the proposed crosswalk marking policy and the always stop sign control justification policy. So in June of this year, we took 4 policies all around the topic of pedestrian crossing safety to council. 2 of them, council directed us to bring them to each of the 4 community councils. Those are the crosswalk marking policy and the always stop sign control justification policy for feedback and consultation. And we will be taking that feedback back with the proposed policies and any modifications that need to be made to the Infrastructure and Environment Committee in the last quarter of this year, to IEC and then Council. So the crosswalk marking policy, what we are proposing there is to bring together a number of different policies and practices that we already have and updates to those practices all into one document. That is a crosswalk marking policy. Some of those, sort of the basics of those existing practices are that crosswalk markings are installed every time we install a new crossing protection, whether it's a stop or yield sign, pedestrian crossover, traffic signal, or school crossing guard. That crosswalk markings are placed at all legs of an intersection that is controlled by a stop, control, or a full signal. That while it is preferred that all the control crossings be marked, there are situations where there's low volume on low speed roadways where it is acceptable to not mark them. And that lastly, uncontrolled crosswalks would not be marked. So that's existing practice already. The zebra crosswalk markings, there is already an existing policy on that was updated in 2023 and approved by council. So this is bringing that policy into this overall crosswalk marking policy. The zebra marking policy states that zebra markings should be installed at all signalized crossings, all pedestrian crossovers, all stop controlled intersections that are within the pedestrian safety corridors, school safety zones, and senior safety zones, all supervised school crossing guard locations, and any other location where staff, at the sort of the discretion of the General Manager of Transportation Services, might determine requires that additional level of crosswalk marking. All other marked crosswalks receive the standard treatment, which is 2 parallel lines of markings delineating the 2 sides where pedestrians are expected to be. So as a part of the crosswalk marking policy, we looked at our current practice, which is to only install crosswalk markings where sidewalks are present at both ends of a crossing. What that practice has resulted in is us not putting crosswalk lines at locations where we do see a lot of pedestrians crossing, but because there's no sidewalks on either side, we haven't been able to delineate it. And we know that staff make all attempts to fill the gaps that are in our sidewalk network, but there are instances where it's not possible to install sidewalks at least immediately. Sometimes it takes several years before sort of technical challenges are addressed with installing a new sidewalk. And what we want to be able to do is to install the crosswalk markings that bring additional safety improvements regardless of whether or not there's a sidewalk. This would be what we're proposing in the policy, is that crosswalks be marked on streets without sidewalks where appropriate. So it's not a default, and we would look at them on a case-by-case basis, typically around school zones where you expect a lot of use on these local road stop-controlled intersections. The next piece is crosswalks at locations without ramps. Similar to the other scenario on the previous slide, our current practice is to not paint crosswalk lines where there's no ramps leading to sidewalks. What that has led to is a delay in the ability to bring the crosswalk markings and the safety improvements associated with it. So every time a stop control gets approved, the stop goes in right away, but the markings currently wait until the ramps are installed. And what we're putting in our policy is that those crosswalk markings don't need to wait. The ramps they typically come within a year. Sometimes they're more complex and take a little longer, but that the crosswalk markings should go in right away and not wait. And staff would regardless make all efforts to minimize that lag between the markings and the ramps. The other component is crosswalk leading to low volume driveways. This is practice that the staff already take into account since 2021 when we updated our approach, our design practices. But basically there are intersections within the local road network where in order to, where we cannot avoid leading a crosswalk into a driveway. We make all effort to shift the crosswalks a little bit, angle them so that they don't lead to a driveway. Sometimes if that results in a significant deviation from the expected path of travel by pedestrians, that's not a sound design choice, because then we are having pedestrians cross at one location and their crosswalk markings being at a different location. So in those instances, we would put the crosswalk marking leading into the driveways. These are low volume driveways, single family residential, and those types of crosswalks would be accompanied by zebra markings to bring that extra attention. And there would be tactile walking surface indicators within those driveways. The maintenance components of that would still be with the city and not a requirement for the property owner. Lastly, on the always stop control justification policy, the current policy that was approved in 2001 looks at 4 considerations for adding always stop control. The main 2 are really the historical collision experience at the intersection under investigation and the traffic volume, pedestrian and vehicular volume. The other 2 that are used very rarely are using stop controls as an interim measure where a traffic signal is approved and before it can immediately, because it cannot be immediately implemented, and when the right-of-way control is changing at a location from one direction to another. But again, that's very rare. And then in June 2019, the policy was updated to apply a factor of 2 to all pedestrians. So then the pedestrian volumes that are counted as a part of the investigation are all multiplied by 2, sort of emphasizing the priority for pedestrians. The change that we're proposing to this policy is very minor. One is to just add a consideration for based on inadequate line of sight. And this is to just bring our practice in line with the Ontario Traffic Manual Book 5 on regulatory signs. And secondly, to just modify the title of the policy so that it is consistent with all the other policies we recently proposed and were approved to add the word justification in there. That is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much for this presentation and your work on this file. Very important. Questions for staff? Councillor Cheung.
Are there any risks to marking a crosswalk when there's no sidewalk?
There are no risks because we see pedestrians crossing there already.
Mhm.
So adding the crosswalk markings improves it. Where there is no sidewalk or where there is no ramp, that crosswalk is not accessible. But that is the case regardless of whether or not the marking is there. And we endeavor to address the accessibility issues as quickly as we can.
What is the timeline of implementation? Because that could take a lot of paint across the city to update the entire city to these policies.
We would be looking at all new locations where we would apply this new practice. So every time we do a school safety zone, we would now paint the crosswalks once this policy is approved. We would also go back. So the school safety zone program, as an example, is going to be completed next year, but we're going back to all the school safety zones that have been implemented since 2017 and looking at where they need to be retrofitted, and that would happen in the following couple of years. That same case would apply to other instances. I would say if there are locations that are of priority, requests can come in to transportation services for looking at those, but we would be looking at a sort of prioritization and internal review as well.
So if we see some intersections that need this treatment, or for example, I know, one of my schools has almost no sidewalks near it, and definitely these will be helpful. We can help to advocate for those locations to be expedited.
Absolutely, yes, please bring them to our attention.
Great, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheung. Any other questions regarding the presentation? Is that a yes? Councillor Carroll?
Yeah, I just want to say, to clarify, because as I read through it prior to the meeting, a lot of these are ones where we've made individual recommendations, and this is really just embedding them so that they're encompassed now. I couldn't find any that were controversial and that I would need to amend. Have I got the gist of it though?
Yes, we're bringing them to existing policies and practices together, and some of the updates are around the painting the crosswalks where there are no.
Yeah, and even those I could remember site-specific agreeing to do them. So it's
Absolutely.
really just
There
pulling
are
things
examples.
site-specific. If they worked, they're now Vision Zero policy.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Just a couple of quick questions. When it comes to crosswalks, what is the preferred distance between a crosswalk and a signalized intersection? In other words, not the preferred distance, but make sure we don't put a crosswalk any closer than X number of meters.
Through the chair, we generally like to install a crosswalk within 5 meters of a signalized intersection, so we try not to deviate away. So if you have an intersecting road, you try to have that crosswalk within 5 meters, depending on, ground utilities or poles, what have you. But we try to make it at least, the best case scenario is a meter back, so you have clearways, you're not right up against the sidewalk, you're not conflicting with any vehicular traffic or curb, any other additional utilities like Rogersville, yeah, such as.
So if there's a request for a crosswalk and
Yeah.
there is a signalized intersection nearby, what is the preferred distance? We don't want a crosswalk any closer than
0.5 meters to a meter is what we'll start at, but we'll take an assessment of all the other utilities and geometry of the road.
Councillor, are you referring to a crosswalk that is independent of the signalized?
Yeah, so I am. So a signalized intersection, and someone has requested a crosswalk, let's say 150 meters away, when does staff say it's too close to a signalized intersection?
I think general practice would be 100 meters, but it's all contextual. There are instances where we would go lower when looking at the specific context of the location.
Okay. And in this document before us, we don't really mention pictographs or amber flashing lights. Are those at high risk crosswalks, or are they on a needs basis or case by case basis?
I think you're referring to pedestrian crossovers that have the amber flashing lights. So those were part of the pedestrian crossing protection policy that has already been approved and our existing practice. So requests for those would come to Transportation Services to assess. So these two specific policies are around stop control and the markings of crosswalks only.
Okay, and maybe this falls into the same category. My last question. We don't tend to use rumble strips in the city of Toronto, do we?
No.
And the reason being, is it a noise problem, or they don't work, or?
That's correct, a noise problem, because any location is typically close to residential purposes.
Okay, I'm finished. Any other questions for staff? Okay. Great, thank you very much. Are there any speakers on the item? No? I do have a motion here. Sorry, any other? No, it's really just to refer to the Infrastructure Environment Committee, so that if it can trigger a little more debate, and if any amendments are needed, it can work its way through the standing committee system and to council. So I thank the clerk for drafting this. I think we can put it on the screen. Okay. So are people generally satisfied with what they've seen, and there's no further debate or amendments? Then we'll just move receipt. Okay, Councillor Chernos-Lind?
I guess, can you just clarify what the path forward is for this? Does it go?
Yeah, I was trying to refer.
Presumably, these are being done at each of the community councils, but then it's going to eventually go to IEC?
Yeah.
Or,
Right?
right?
So by the time it gets to council, we have the last right of.
Right.
So if they move something wacky, we'll see.
Okay, we'll let the clerk determine where this goes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, when this policy came to Infrastructure and Environment Committee, it was amended there to ask that Transportation Services staff bring forward a presentation and essentially consult with the community councils. So this same presentation and the same item is on all of the community council agendas for this month. And the idea is that if this community council has feedback for the general manager to include in this policy in their report back to Infrastructure and Environment Committee, you could move a motion here to do it. And I've just provided the chair with a form of that motion if you wanted to provide some feedback from community council. If there's nothing, then you could receive this item for information, the presentation for information.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're
All right,
moving
since
receipt.
there's no motions currently, but this will be coming to Infrastructure and Environment?
Which, if I can just clarify, which means that if there are amendments being moved at another community council, our line of sight is, ultimately, they have to come to council, because they're not delegated. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the suggestion from the clerk is to move receipt. And we'll see it pop up at a standing committee and/or council. All right, so I'll move receipt. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And we have to do the bills. Councillor Carroll.
You saw the numbers and decided it was.
I
good
saw all
for
those
me.
numbers. I can't handle all those numbers, so you do
That
it.
bills 849 to 855, bills 867 to 880, bills 962 to 967, bills 969 to 970, and bill 1026, prepared for the September 2017, 2025 meeting number 26 of the North York Community Council, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act of 2006.
Hey, thank you very much. That was a lot of numbers. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And the confirmatory bills. Councillor Chernos-Lynn.
The confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the North York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 26 on September 17th, 2025, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. That concludes our business for today. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you very much, city staff. Thank you, members of the public and deputants. Thank you, councillor staff. And thank you, clerks staff, for your work on today's agenda. Enjoy the rest of the day.
We get a rest of our day to work. I know. Oh my goodness.